We're live.
All right, everybody. Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our little session. So in today's session, what we're going to be looking at is, title says for itself, building a firm for the future. And the whole inspiration of this one is that basically we've been thinking a lot about how to build a firm for the future, haven't we? Thinking about what's working, what's not working, how to kind of bring everything into play. And if you think about what's just been announced on this show, like the rest of QuickBooks, the rest of Accountex 2023, then you'll know that there's been some really inspiring solutions that's been put out there. There's been opportunities to be able to come to talks like this. And we think that we've got an opportunity to come in here and talk about everything that we need to go. So, the other thing, I've got a disclaimer to make. We are actually live for our podcast. So if you don't know us, we are Ask the Accountant and podcast. And we're actually live now. So if you have any issues about being on camera or anything like that, if you just speak to Lizzie at the end, we'll make sure that it all gets taken out and everything else goes. And we're recording this, and this will also be on the YouTubes and everything later down the line. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about leading a firm of the future.
Introductions.
And that's what we're going to.
Cool. 1, 2.
Over to my co-host with the most, Johann.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Johann. I am the co-host of Ask the Accountant. I also sit on the QuickBooks Labs podcast once a month. Aaron and I actually met and came up with the idea of this podcast in about 3 hours to the year, because we were having a pint in the Fox at the after party this time last year. So I run my own accounting firm. We've got a group of firms across the UK. I come into accountancy from a slightly different angle. I'm not an accountant, and I'm not a bookkeeper. I am a chartered manager. My skill set is leadership and management, and that has given us a bit of an edge in my firm against some of our local competitors, because I look at a business from a more holistic point of view rather than just through a set of numbers. But my other credentials are, I am a strategic partner for QuickBooks, so one of 6 that look after feedback on the product and how we're going to improve things for accountants, bookkeepers and business owners. And I am also behind Client Engager, which is a practice management software that came to the market in September last year. But yeah, that's my credentials. That's why I'm here talking to you. So if none of that's of interest, the exit's that way. Aaron, you're more inclusive of the accounting world.
I mean, sometimes I feel like it'd be easier just to say what you don't do. And
it would be good, wouldn't it? Be quicker.
All right, so my name is Aaron Patrick. Absolute pleasure to be with you today. I am a chartered accountant, a certified UK Intuit QuickBooks trainer. So if any of you have ever done core certification, advanced certification, anything like that, I've been doing those training for you. I'm the QuickBooks chap on the YouTube. So if you want to find a new YouTube channel to subscribe, then I've got a QuickBooks dedicated channel all about that. Head of accounts at a company called Boffix, and as Johann said, a podcast host for Ask the Accountant and QuickBooks Labs. So what were we going to cover, Johann? Because we had a slight change of plan.
So the first lesson of being a firm of the future is adapting to the scenario you're in. And we've had to do that here today. So we were going to talk about the benefits of acquiring a firm to grow your business and how that helps with your recruitment challenges. We were going to talk about using digital software. We were going to talk about implementing automation, developing a personal brand, and leading a firm of the future in general. We've just changed that because of today. So we're now going to also talk about embracing AI, because all of the major announcements, all the press releases about AI and how AI is going to power your businesses going forwards. So we wouldn't be talking properly about a firm of the future if we weren't adapting and taking on the new topics as they came up. So there we go.
Awesome.
Firm of the future right there.
And speaking of which, your topic here, is it leading a firm in the future?
So accountants and bookkeepers, you guys are at a bit of an unfair disadvantage. You have been trained on how to analyze accounts. You have been trained on how to understand those numbers. At no point in your training to do that did anyone spend any time teaching you leadership or how to manage people instead of numbers. Generation X is what's coming through at the moment into employment, along with Generation Z, the first couple of years of that generation. They are the most savvy and knowledgeable generation of what they want from a workplace you'll ever come across. Old-fashioned leadership and management is not going to cut it with them. They will not tolerate it. They'll just go and find somewhere better to work. Some would say they're fickle. Others would just say they know what they want to do and they're not going to waste their time doing something they're not happy with. You know, one of my friends at school said around to me and said, whatever you do in life, make sure you enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it, move on. Generation Z and X are very good at that. They know they can just go and find a job elsewhere. They know what environment they're in. They know we've got a recruitment challenge at this moment in time in the accounting industry. It's been in the US for a while. It's hitting us hard now. I spoke to a friend who's got a role at a university. Since COVID, people applying to go into a university accounting degree is down 33%. Like, we are going to have to find that talent from somewhere, and we're going to have to work even harder to maintain it. So embracing things like unlimited holiday, flexi working, enabling people to work around their lifestyles is going to be so important. So it's really important that as leaders of businesses, which is we all are, we are managing people, we're leading a team, that we learn to lead and manage people in the modern world. So top recommendations for books is anything from Simon Sinek, absolutely fantastic author and thought leader on management and leadership. It's no longer, if you want to grow your firm past you, it's no longer good enough to not be a good manager or leader. We are going to have to master that skill set. So it's really important that we start looking at that as a CPD thing, not just going to conferences like this and getting my 8-hour certificate for CPD in accounting. We need to develop being better managers and leaders in our industry.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the only thing I'd really add to that, and what we've been finding really, really empowering for our staff, is you've got to think of ways in which you can get them to be excited about being an accountant again. Like, we've got to take away the whole, oh, you're going to be an accountant because you're going to file VAT returns. Well, VAT returns aren't going to make them excited. That's not what is, staff are going to be coming to firms to do. We want to be really going down that business advisory route. We want to be talking about how can we get more time for ourselves, for our practice, so that we can put time into helping clients and enjoying our time with the clients and solving those solutions and problems our clients have. Because ultimately, that's what staff actually enjoy doing, because that's what we enjoy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we don't sit there and go, oh, VAT returns, yay. We sit there because we love the fact that we're helping clients and helping them go forward. And I think we've got to start putting that philosophy into our staff, because if we don't do that, we won't have the opportunity to offer our staff a really exciting career, and one that they're going to be proud of and excited of. And I think for us, definitely at Boffix, that was a big mind change. More of our staff need to be thinking about business advisory. More of our staff need to be thinking about helping clients, even if it's little things, even if it's a client being told that they should be using Square instead of Zettle, and this new EPOS solution that's going to save the world for them. Little things like that that are coming from my team are going to be so powerful to them and make them feel like they're doing something and helping clients, and that should keep them on the right path, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Gen Z and Gen X are the most dependent on social recognition generations we've ever had, because they've grown up with Facebook. I mean, I was in my career when Facebook first came along. Like, I was a grown adult, but the people that are coming into the workplace now have had Facebook from day one. They need that social recognition. More and more of these generations aren't drinking. More and more of these generations aren't smoking. They're getting their hit from social recognition on social media. And them going home at night and going, knocked out 50 tax returns today, isn't going to get them a social recognition. Helping my client to save off insolvency, that is going to get them social recognition. So we need to automate, we need to use technology to get rid of the admin and the mundane stuff, so we can give the team the exciting stuff. And it's stuff you can't teach at university. You can't teach someone how to go into a business and talk to a client and problem solve on the spot. The only way they learn that is by watching you do it. You need to lead by example. You need to have them shadowing you on calls, Zoom calls, in meetings, so they can get, I see how you got to this answer. You know, like, it's just sharing your experiences with them. You can't teach that at school, college, or university. No one who's teaching from the textbook will ever teach that. But we need to expose them to that so they're excited and motivated about their job.
100%. Right, let's move on to the next one then. So, digital software. We basically brought this up because, if anything, this is the one reason why we kind of got to know one another. We both understood that software in the accountancy world is going to be a huge, huge aspect to how your firm grows, how efficient your firm's going to be, and everything that goes with it. So, the biggest analogy that we can think for our firm at the moment, and comparing it to others and comparing to others that we're going to be looking at maybe acquiring everything as we're going to talk about later, is when we compare our process compared to theirs. And I had a little story lately of how I went into a firm that I know very well. I used to work there. I trained there as a youngster and worked my way up. Now, they gave me a job because they were in trouble at the time, and they gave me a job to do, or a couple of jobs to do, with timesheets and budgets and everything else to complete. And these budgets were like 14 to 15 hours long, where I know that with the right technology, the right software, the right efficiencies, which we do a lot of talking about, then we can change that 15 to 14 hours into more like 6, 7, 8. And if you're doing that on a regular basis, then there's the time that you can then invest into the client to help them along, to push them forward and go from there. And when we talk about digital software, we're always talking about how software should be used to give us that human element back. So we can then speed up processing their EPOS solutions and their e-commerce issues, so that then we can spend more time with the client on actually doing things that are actually entertaining and exciting and help the client as they go along. My other biggest thing about the software industry at the moment is that there is so much competition out there. You look around, you look at how many different aspects they are. And one of the things I would definitely say to every practice out there is try and stay as agile as possible. That's what we've done. And a great example of that for us is that when it comes to Dext, or Receipt Bank as it used to be called, versus auto entry, versus whatever the next one's going to come out for, OCR technology, we always push for the fact that we want to be able to control where our client's data goes to. So that whatever the new fancy solution's going to be, is it Dext, is it auto entry, or what's right for an individual client, we want to control that. So from day one with Boffix, we have a bills.com domain. So our client will send everything to bills.com, and then it's almost like a funnel system for us, and we'll push that information to whatever solution is right for them. And we've learned from that from day one, and we really, from my point of view, everyone should be thinking about that. Like, there's so many solutions out there, and next to Accountex, there's going to be other solutions, and we'll talk about AI later. That's going to completely change the game. We need to stay agile. We need to have the opportunity to be able to go, right, is this piece of software that's been released, is it going to save me X amount of time, or improve my client's progress with you, or onboarding solution with you in X, Y, whatever metrics you want to use to decide if that software is right or wrong for your practice. You need to be able to make sure you stay agile. And I think that's one of the biggest learnings we've had from our practice.
Yeah, I mean, digital software, you will be able to go out there today and be sold a dream. Just test everything they sell you. Because I have been sold a dream far too many times for my firm. I have threatened my team, we're going to move to this software, we're going to move to that software, it's going to be amazing. 6 months down the road, it's like, nah, this is not what I was sold. So test everything before you implement it. Really ask around about it. Really challenge the software provider to prove that what they're telling you is functional today. Because a lot of them will happily tell you about features that are coming up, and what they don't tell you is it takes us 9 to 12 months to launch each of these features. So you're buying in now when it's not going to be there. And actually now we're no better than the solution you've currently got. And having to move is a hugely time-consuming process. So either make ways like Aaron has, with all his clients emailing one domain, so it doesn't matter whether he's allied with Receipt Capture at QuickBooks, HubDoc at Xero, Dext, auto entry. It doesn't matter which one he's choosing to use at the time, because it doesn't impact on your clients. So that when you move in practice management software, nothing worse than having to tell your client it's a different portal this year. But if you can minimize that impact, it makes your lives easier, so you can be more adaptable without impacting on your client's view of your choices.
Yeah, my final tip that I'd say on it as well when it comes to software is start learning from your practice and what problems you're facing. So one of the big problems that we've always had was booking in calendars and getting calendar appointments and everything like that. So everyone does, you do your due diligence, right? You find out what solution works for you and you implement a solution that means that you can have better communication with your clients. Well, that's become a common conversation topic we now have with our clients. And we're constantly telling our clients that, did you really like that system, where you booked in with me and you were able to pick a time slot that worked for you and that was working? And did you really like the fact it was super simple and you got a reminder and all that sort of stuff? Well, then you tell that to your clients and you're teaching your clients, you're doing business advisory suddenly. Because business advisory doesn't have to be this scary solution that, you have to go to a university course to learn. It is about just applying what you're doing in your business and helping the clients out along the way.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. Happy with that one?
Moving on.
Benefits of acquisition. This is definitely your topic, isn't it?
So in the last couple of years, I've made a few acquisitions of accounting and bookkeeping firms. And most people will look at it and go, I'm going to buy this firm. It comes with this client bank. That's going to add this turnover. I can cut costs here, cut costs there, and that's on a nice bit of profit. The main reason I've made any acquisitions in the last 2 years is because with that acquisition has come a bloody amazing team member or two. So I made my first acquisition, bookkeeper. She had just separated from her husband. She had 2 very young kids with a lot of learning difficulties, so needed reliable income. She was an amazing bookkeeper, and she'll tell you this herself, she is the worst business owner in the world. Because she would have subscribed to every bloody software and business coach out there today and spent money with them and not used any of it. She was up to her eyeballs in debt with this business and just needed a steady, reliable income, but with flexibility to work around her family. Well, we're a firm of the future. I love leadership and management. The flexibility bit wasn't an issue. What I needed was a blooming good bookkeeper because we were starting to struggle with the capacity on our bookkeeping. So I made her a deal. She's still with us 4 years on. She's now my head of accounts. She still works absolutely daft hours, not long hours, just a few hours early in the morning, disappears, does some homeschooling, does a few hours around lunchtime, disappears, does some homeschooling, does some hours into the evening, and occasionally does some hours on the weekend because that's what's worked for her. But I'll tell you what, my clients bloody love it, because there's all of a sudden availability to speak to someone in evenings and weekends. So what most people will go, well, I'm not sure if I'm happy with those working hours. My clients are going, this is amazing value. You guys are so good. You've got availability for meetings when we've got availability. Because 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, we're doing our own jobs. We haven't got time to go and meet the accountant. So we took her on and we took her business on. The benefit of taking her on through this and taking her business was that the client bank that she came with covered her salary. So I grew my team by a person with a fantastic bookkeeper. It's not cost me a penny. If anything, I've actually made a little bit of money because I cut some of the subscriptions out that she had. Then made another acquisition because we were struggling again, but for a client manager. And we had a firm with 2 people in it. One person wanted out completely. The other one was quite happy as a client manager, looking after the clients, and was all of a sudden very worried that the owner didn't want to be in the business anymore. So we stepped in, we took it on. Again, I've got a talented staff member who thinks we're amazing compared to the previous employer because we've got all these modern working ways, from technology, but also to this whole unlimited hour holiday, flexible working, etc. I've got a lovely client bank that's paying for his salary, so I've not had to lose money there. But I've now got a large bank of clients across the UK And instead of just picking up inquiries in Edinburgh, which is where I'm based, we're now picking up inquiries in Sheffield, Reading and Hemel Hempstead as well, because we made acquisitions. So I'm looking at acquisitions to deal with my recruitment issue. How much time and effort do I go to recruit 3 or 4 new accountants? It's actually easier and quicker to find a firm with 3 or 4 good accountants in it and buy that firm from a retiring owner and build it into my portfolio than it is to go and recruit, train, and then find out they're not right for the job or we're not right for them, and they move on and we start again. So by doing acquisitions, we're tackling our recruitment issue, which is going to get worse. I've already referred to that. Recruitment is going to get harder and harder. And the people out there know it's getting harder. They're not daft. They know talent is short. If they want flexible working and you're not offering it to them, they will go to someone that offers it. So by us going in and being more of a modern firm compared to a more traditional firm, they think we're incredible. It buys us a year of grace to get them bedded in and to settle them down and to show them the opportunities we have in a bigger firm, which they then have. Whereas in their old firm, they were probably at the level that they were ever going to be promoted to because it was limited by the size of that firm. And we are, facing a recruitment challenge for a lack of talent coming through at the young end, and the baby boomers. So anyone up to the 1960s, 70s maybe, they're all retiring. They all want out. How many firms shut down during COVID and didn't reopen because the owner went, I'll cut it here, I'll call it quits, I'm going to retire early. People have got a new appreciation for work-life balance and quality of life. And because of that, we've got an acquisitions market that's flooding with people trying to sell up. We've got a recruitment challenge. Well, let's use one to solve the other.
Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing really to say on this topic as I've never acquired anyone. So, you know, I'm waiting for the day that you acquire me, but that's one for a different story.
Told you, drop a few zeros.
But no, I think the only thing, like, I'm starting my acquisition journey now, mainly because of what Johann says. And it is really for that staff point of view. That is the one thing that we need in our practice more than anything else. So acquisition is something we're starting to go down that practice. And one thing I've already learned from it is how I'm actually learning from the other accountants as well. They're like the way of working, how they position themselves, their use of our holiday work and everything else. And I think that for me is where it's going to get exciting when we start looking at, you know, the acquisition process going forward.
Yep.
Cool. All right, let's move on to developing a personal brand. And for me, this is by far the most important thing I probably did in my career. I went from just having a practice that I really enjoyed. I had a lot of work and good ethics out of it, and I was enjoying all of what I was doing, to then COVID hit, Ask the Expert was put out on QuickBooks, and we suddenly learned that actually, if we start talking about ourselves and putting it out there, then people are going to listen. So I generated a YouTube video channel. I started throwing content on there, and that's where all of what I'm talking about today, all of the presentations we're giving, all of the contacts we made, all generated from that YouTube channel. Now, there are experts out there in terms of getting your personal brand up, be able to get yourself into the top X amount of LinkedIn posts, and going through and putting all that thing. But really, it's all down to each and every one of us. And that's where, for me, I didn't think I'd ever have a YouTube channel or push myself to go into there. But as soon as I started doing it, it all came into place. And what's happened is it's a domino effect. I went from just posting some YouTube videos here and there about a topic I loved, which was QuickBooks. And it's now gone on to podcasts that we're on. It's gone on to talks that we're doing. It's gone on to better relationships with our vendors. It's gone on to opportunities to gain more staff, as we're talking about the staff crisis as well. Like, every time that we've been able to push forward and have some form of new way of developing our brand, however that brand's being developed, we've always found benefit from it. And I think really the one learning that I always had from this whole personal development and brand development and everything else is just that it all starts from just posting something on a platform of your choice. There is a lot of people who may tell you that TikTok or LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever platform is best in class and will be your best ever place to be posting. But really, the best one that you guys could ever start with if you aren't on your personal brand journey is just a platform that you know and love already. Like if you're already consuming content on a platform, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it's going to be, then that's the best platform for you to start developing your personal brand from, because you'll understand it. You'll figure out that, oh, I really like following this sort of content. I really enjoy this sort of content, and it'll all flow through from there. So my biggest tip when it comes to starting this journey, because it is a difficult journey, it's daunting, right? It's scary. But find a platform that you're already consuming content on, and then start posting content on there. And then from there on in, you're going to be able to see and learn and move it from there.
Yeah, my only advice on this for you, Aaron is the master of personal brand. He's got the whole YouTube channel thing done. LinkedIn's my go-to place. LinkedIn can grow quite quickly. I've gone from about 2,000 followers a year ago to just over 11,000 now. But just go to where you feel comfortable and be genuine. So there's far too many people in our industry that when you meet them in person, they are nothing like that person that they portray themselves on social media. So just be genuine. I'm not someone that's going to do funny dances, so I'm not on TikTok. I'm not someone that enjoys doing selfies, so I'm not on Instagram. Well, I am, but there's no pictures of me. It's pictures people have taken of me. Like, I enjoy sharing insights and thought leadership, so I'm on LinkedIn. Now, sometimes those posts, they aren't technically professional LinkedIn posts, or they're tedious links. Posted last week that I'm going to get a new garden office. 7,000 people have seen that. 200 people have reacted to it. 50 people have commented on it. Got nothing to do with insight or anything. My best post was about a year ago when I reviewed the top pairs of socks from Accountex. 40,000 people have seen that blooming post. Yet I speak about the best podcasts or the best books to go and read or listen to. Nothing. People say LinkedIn is for professional conversations. Trust me by the statistics, they're lying to you. The more personal posts you do, the more the interaction you'll get, because personality comes with honesty. People want someone they can trust, even on social media. So it's important to be open and honest while shielding whichever part of your life you want to shield. So my wife follows me on LinkedIn. She thinks it's absurd that there's 11,000 people that might be even remotely interested in the crap that I come out with. But she follows me just to make sure that I'm not slating her. And I'll make reference to my wife on LinkedIn. But that's as far as I go into my personal life. I'll make reference to my dad, who is a huge role model for me. My dad this week was at the coronation because he got awarded an honour in the Queen's Honours last year for 40 years to social care. So that inspires me to be the person that I am. It gives a lot of my ethics and morals that I have today. So that's why I talk about it. But if you're not comfortable talking about those kind of things, you don't have to talk about those things. You can just talk about whatever laptop you're using or whatever topic you're interested in and whatever you're reading at the moment. Because if people will want to know what inspires you, whether it's a book or equipment, whatever it is. So just share it. What's the worst that's going to happen? No one reads it. No one's reading it when you've not posted it. So if you get a couple of reads and a few people go, oh, that's interesting, then you've achieved your objective. But if you're having a personal brand, that we've seen our sales in our firm go up. And I'm pushing my team to have a personal brand each. Most of them aren't interested, they're not fussed by it whatsoever, and that's fine, that's their choice. But there's a reason I bring in more business than anyone else in my team, because I've got a personal brand. And that personal brand's done amazing things. It doesn't always equate to sales. Yes, I get a couple of inquiries a month off LinkedIn, because so you're a bit of a different accounting firm, you guys sound great. But actually, the opportunities I've had from building my personal brand, speaking here today, meeting Aaron and doing our podcast every week. I speak for QuickBooks constantly. I go to all sorts of different events and awards evenings through the invite of QuickBooks because I've built a personal brand and I've made QuickBooks a central part of that because it's a central part of my business. If you start stopping and changing, so 1 week I'm talking Xero, next week I'm talking QuickBooks, like, okay, jack of all trades, master of none. So it's really important that you go, actually, no, these are the topics I'm going to stick with. And if you're going to make a change to those topics, you need to do it really slow and gradually. 1 minute, someone's an accountant, log back in on LinkedIn on Monday, all of a sudden they're a thought-leading business coach. It's like, well, hang on a minute, where's that come from? Whereas if that person had been posting occasional posts about business coaching and ideas and stuff, and then they gradually changed to it, you go, yeah, okay, they were building up to that. They were warming up to this change. It's not just oh, that's a women a fancy. I quite like being a business coach idea. I'll just do that. But whether it's YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you're going to do it, it just takes consistency. I disappeared for 2 weeks on holiday back in March, and I went from an average of 15,000 impressions a week on LinkedIn to about 2,000. And it's only in the last week I've got back to my usual performance, because the algorithms will punish you if you are not consistent. But consistency isn't daily posts. It is whatever you feel comfortable with. If it's a one a week, then it's one a week. That's fine. But you've got to be consistent. And you've got to also understand the algorithms that go with that platform you've chosen. So if you don't post more than one a week on YouTube, it will punish you. If you only post once a week on LinkedIn, it's okay. If you post once a week in Twitter, it's just lost in the volume of posts. You need to be posting 5 or 6 times a day in Twitter in the vain hope someone might see one of those posts. Just because it's a constant changing list, the algorithm's completely different. So think ahead, work out the platform you spend time on yourselves and you enjoy consuming content, as Aaron said. Then dig around and work out what the algorithms are. You'll never know them brilliantly, but there's some key areas, like certain platforms need to be posted a certain amount of times. LinkedIn, it's great if you put a picture on there, but actually sometimes word posts only do really well. If you want to drop in a slating for HMRC every now and then, that'll help. But then if you're on Twitter, you need to be doing it constantly, but Twitter won't handle your videos very well. So it's just working out the format, the content, etc., and how to do it. And just then being consistent with it and planning it into your week.
Yeah, and I think what I've definitely come across and learned is the benefits out of it as well. So not only do you get the opportunity to sell to a bigger platform and get a community and build up, but also you'll get to a point where whoever's coming, like what funnel they're using, how you're getting that client to come to you and talk to you, you will have the opportunity to be able to sell to them much quicker and much more effectively because they already know you, they already understand you, they're already kind of in their mind going, this is the accountancy firm I want to work with. I like what they're saying here, I understand what they're saying. As long as the price is within whatever their price metrics is going to be, then they've already made the decision. And that makes our conversation so much better. We don't have to do a hard sell. Well, this is Boffix and we do this at Boffix, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember the last time I had to explain what Boffix is because all of my leads now come directly from YouTube and all those platforms and they already know who Boffix is. What they want to know is how can we help them? And that's a much better conversation to have with them. And it works each and every time.
Yeah.
My other thing I'd say is collaboration. Like we should be mortal enemies, right? I'm glad I'm not because I'm not quite sure who would win in a fight, but we should be mortal enemies. And I think the fact of the matter is that one of the things that we keep building on each other's personal development and personal brand is the fact that we're able to bounce off one another. And I feel like for everyone in this room, that's something you've definitely got an opportunity to do. Like collaborate with people, enjoy trying to make content with people and trying to figure out. Because guess what? We're all, completely in the same boat. We're all trying to figure out what content works, what content doesn't work, what should we talk about here, what should we talk about there. And each one of the platforms we talked about gives us so much statistics and so many analytics that we're able to then figure out, well, actually, when we talked about this on this podcast, it didn't do too well. But when we talked about this on this podcast, it did really well. So guess what? We're going to be talking more about that other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's, to us, I think that's where it's worked really well, hasn't it?
Yeah, and the benefit of the personal brand is Google loves it. Like, people want to know who they're going to be working with. So if someone Googles Johann Goree, first 5 pages of links are all me. Whether that's YouTube videos, press releases, you name it, Google knows who I am now. GPT knows roughly who I am. Out of 3 paragraphs it gave me when I said, who's Johann Goree, 2 out of 3 were right. They seem to have confused me with a firm over in America, but you know what? We'll give it a break. Ultimately, it means your potential clients will get to know you better. Aaron and I walk around places like this. People come up to, oh, I feel like I already know you, or watch all your YouTube videos, or we listen to your podcasts. You know, we've got one fan who turns off Chris Evans every Monday morning just to listen to us. It's like, that's a bit weird, but okay. Not that she listens to Chris Evans, but she would rather listen to us instead. But people, without you realizing, get to know you and who you are. And that just makes that sales process or that recruitment process so much easier. There's Rachel over in the corner, over in that side of the show, who runs Accountancy. How many employees on the waiting list has she got?
Yeah, 70.
There's 70 people waiting for a job with her. Because she's got such a strong personal brand, people know they want to work with her. When there's a recruitment crisis and she's got 70 people saying, we'll wait for a job, that's just phenomenal. So it's not just your sales, but it's your growth of your future team. Because the first thing I do, when anyone says to me, oh, I'd be interested in selling my firm to you, Google them. Automatically, I know what their culture, what their ethics, what their morals are. I know if they've been in the press, whether it's good or bad. I can see what they're talking about on social media. In my old job, managers used to Google new employees, and contracts got rescinded before they even started work, because you go onto Facebook, it's like, don't agree with that particular type of activity on a weekend, or that could bring the company into disrepute. Like, they're doing the same to us as employers. So having a strong personal brand that conveys the true you is so important, because your employees will be the first to leave and point out that what you're talking on social media compared to what you're doing in real life are 2 completely different things. And that will destroy your personal brand overnight.
Great. Right, I think we need to, we've got 5 minutes, haven't we?
Cool.
So
let's move it on.
Let's go straight into embracing the world of AI.
So we changed our topic. We changed this into, basically, we had a really good chat on Monday on our last podcast about AI. We are today at the point with AI that we as an industry were at 10 years ago with OCR technology. So your DEX, your auto entries. There is still a majority of the industry that will argue that DEX, auto entry, HubDoc won't save you time. I completely disagree with them, but that's my personal opinion. I know how much time it's saving my firm and how we've grown because of it. There is still going to be naysayers in 10 years' time about AI. What's really important is anyone that's looking to take on AI understands it today, as it is. First of all, the AI functionality available today is language-based algorithms. You putting in a set of accounts to AI and say, check if this is right, it can't do it. There's a reason in America, Chat AI has passed the bar exam and it has failed a CPD exam. CPA exam. And that is because the bar exam is a written language exam. A CPA exam is a numbers exam. It cannot handle it in its algorithm yet. It will do in the next year, no doubt about that. But we need to know before we implement it into our practices what it can and can't do. Because the moment it does something it can't, you try and get it to do something you can't do, and you go, oh, this is rubbish, and you move away and go, oh, I tried it 5 years ago, it was rubbish, that's the moment we make a mistake. Whereas if we're using it for the right things, it's really powerful. It wrote the framework of my presentation at QuickBooks. over the weekend with just one sentence going into it. Like, incredible. It can research me, it can research anything. It can summarize news articles. So I would read on average 5 or 6 news articles for our podcast each week. Last week, I read 25 news articles because I told ChatGTP, PT, whichever way it is, I cannot do it. I told it, summarize the article in this link. Summarize the article in this link. So I've consumed more data quickly. What it can't do is it can't tell me if I've done a VAT return right yet. QuickBooks are working on it. They're not far from it, but it can't do that today. So making sure we're using it for the right reasons is really important, but do not ignore it. There is one health warning with it. Do not put client data into it yet. We do not know the full security of it yet. There is a reason that Chat AI got turned off from the internet at the start of 2001 when it was consuming all the history of the internet, because they're worried about the security and how powerful it will be if it went up to date. So you can't ask it a tax question because it only knows the tax rules from HMRC up to the end of 2020. So it's going to give you the wrong information. So it's important you understand the background of it. But it is going to re-engineer the way our teams work. Team members are not going to be sat doing as much admin as they are doing today, which is half of what they used to do, in 5 years' time. Because they're going to be using AI to do this work, which means a set of accounts takes 30 minutes to run and do instead of 2 hours, and they're going to have an hour and a half more to spend with the client. Spend more time with your client, more upsell opportunities, more cross-sell opportunities, better working relationships with your clients. AI is going to be as powerful as OCR was to our industry 10 years ago. Get on board with it now, but be careful with what you put into it. You know, Carbon and Pixie today have announced how it's going to summarize emails in their software. It's going to help you reply. We all get emotional when a client tells us we're an idiot. It's easy to send an email with an emotional response. I use Grammarly now. So I take my email response, I put it into Grammarly and say, I want you to make this more professional. At which point it gets very short because it's taken all the swear words out. But I've now responded to my client with a professional, composed email, which has taken the human emotion out of it, and it's actually diffused the situation. That's how powerful AI can be, even today. But just know what its background is and what its limits are for now. Aaron, go for it.
I mean, we could talk about literally an hour. We did it on Monday, right?
We spoke about it for an hour on Monday.
I've got, what, 30 seconds to go through it? I think for me, it's just 2 areas where it really excites me. The first one is, if you think about what AI can do for us and how that could help, is just think about how it's going to help us interact with our clients going forward. The idea that you're just about to ask for a bank statement from a client and AI pops up and says, don't worry about it, John's already asked for it for you. That's what really excites me. That's where I see the future being with it, where it's telling us that it's going to do things. And what I really get excited about is how it's going to help us with data management. You know clients, they just take photos on their phone and they send it to you. How many of them change the image name to go, this is a VAT receipt for boots that I paid for at XYZ? No, they'll send it in. It'll be image 3626 What we can use with AI is be able to data manage that better for us. And I'm really excited about it. And they're the sort of things where, as early adopters like we are, we're looking forward to getting involved in these, testing these things out, playing around with them, figuring it all out. And then, you know, that's the point of the podcast, talk to you guys about what it can do going forward.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's it. We are fastly running out of time.
Yeah.
Any questions from anyone before we do a
We'll hang around if people want to do one-to-one questions, because we don't all like asking questions in the public arena. That's fine.
That sounds good. Cool. So shall we do our plug at the end and let everyone go off to the after parties? So a big thank you for watching. We are going to plug it. Check our podcast live and on demand. We go live 8:30 every single Monday, even bank holiday Mondays.
Even bank
and
holidays.
we've always got something to talk about. And we invite you guys to be involved in the conversation as well. We know people in this room here do get involved in it very
Paul is there like weekly commenting and keeping us on post.
And if you can't join us live, then we have a range of platforms, every single platform under the sun, and we go live on a Wednesday. So it's been great. Do you want to talk about our cool friends?
So what we do is every Monday morning we go live and we talk about news and industry updates. But then once a month on average, we drop an episode where we've interviewed someone that we enjoy working with in our own firms from different softwares, different backgrounds. So we've had Chris from Sage, we've had Cresco, we've had Ryan Percy, we've had Sam and Sam from Swoop. We've got some fantastic interviews coming up. So they go out pre-recorded, edited. They're actually quite professionally done. Thank you, Lizzie. But yeah, they're quite professionally done. And they go out live every now and then on our social medias. But then they're also, everything we do, you can listen back to as a podcast while you're walking your dog, which is normally where I spend most of my time listening to podcasts, is walking the dog.
Exactly. And that is it. That is just a big thank you. Put a little scan me up there if you do want to follow us. Look at our social brands, anything else like that. They're all available. We've also been doing the takeover for QuickBooks as well. So if you look on the social media for QuickBooks, you'll see us there. We can't plug any more, can we?
I think we've done plug-in.
Plugged more than enough. But any questions, then please do come up to us. Or we're always happy to say hi. And a big thank you very much for spending your last bit of Accountex first day with us. So
hopefully we'll see you all at after parties. We're about all day tomorrow, so anyone wants to come up and say hello.
And we've always got a microphone if you ever want to start your personal brand with us, and we can promote.
We can always launch you off.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for attending, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
I love that picture.